Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of Noah's Ultra Gaming Show. And today we're going to talk about, can Uncharted succeed without Nathan Drake? Can it succeed without its star that we've all come to know and love? And I think the answer is yes. Yes, it can. And it totally should continue without him. Because The Lost Legacy is really a stepping stone and a proving ground that Uncharted can succeed on its other characters as long as they have interesting dynamics and interesting growth to them. But when The Lost Legacy was announced, I won't lie, I was scared. Because to me, and to a lot of other people, to a lot of other fans, Uncharted and Nathan Drake go hand in hand. They're the perfect combination of peanut butter and jelly. They make one hell of a sandwich. So seeing it star someone else, granted, we already knew from the events of Uncharted 4 that it wouldn't star Nathan Drake. It was really Naughty Dog saying, hey, we're serious. Nathan Drake's story is done. It's not about him anymore. We're going to see what else we can do with this franchise. We're going to do this one-off story with Nadine and Chloe and see if you guys will give it a chance and fall in love with it just as you have fallen in love with every other Uncharted game. But when I started playing The Lost Legacy, when I first took the steps into that Indian market and I had that interaction with that little girl, it really brought home the fact that Uncharted is honestly not about Nathan Drake. You know what it's really about? It's about growth and progression, as well as an adventure with heart. And The Lost Legacy really proved that the series can go on, that it can succeed without it as long as it has those fundamental elements that make Uncharted, well, Uncharted. Hell, the basic elements of an Uncharted game are a high-stakes adventure, witty writing, and emotional growth. As long as you have those three things really, geared down, you should be fine. Uncharted, that's what makes Uncharted Uncharted. People tend to forget that Uncharted supporting cast are a huge reason why that series is so loved and memorable among the fans. Think about Sully, Cutter, Chloe, Elena. Did I just say Chloe twice? I don't know. Oh well. But you get the idea. I have the utmost confidence that these characters could carry a story on their own. I never knew I wanted a Chloe and Nadine story until I got The Lost Legacy. Their relationship, their dynamic, them always butting heads really brought another layer and more depth into the Uncharted universe that we hadn't really seen before. Throughout all the Uncharted series, we really haven't gotten a chance to know these characters like we have Nathan Drake. Granted, it is Nathan's story, but I personally would have loved to know more about Sam, more about Cutter, more about Nadine. Hell, I want to know more about Chloe. And with these spin-offs, the next Uncharted being focused on more other people, could really help bring out those characters and flesh them out more than we've ever seen them before. The Lost Legacy really showcased that there's more than meets the eye of these characters. There's more that we don't know about their backstories, about their feelings, where they fit in the overall world, where they see themselves as people, or how they see themselves as people, I should say. The Lost Legacy really made me want more stories around other characters in the Uncharted universe. Like, I want to see another Chloe Nadine story. I want to see maybe a Sam and Sully story, a Sam and Clutter story, a Sam and Chloe. There's a bunch of different pairings that can each offer their own dynamics, everyone has a different ideology, everyone has different personalities. How would they fit in a duo buddy cop-ish, Uncharted game? And let's just keep it real. They need to have a Cassie and Sam story, because how awesome would it be for Cassie Drake to carry on the mantle of the Drakes, right? To carry on the mantle of Nathan and Elena, pursuing treasure and getting into some shit, but having Sam there as, the Sully type, protector, guidance stuff. I think that dynamic would be really cool. Because honestly, we don't know much about Cassie. All that we know is that she's a bright-eyed girl that wears glasses, she's blonde, and she's the son of the two basically main characters of the Uncharted series. Stop whatever you're doing and just think about the possibilities that this story could bring. What is the dynamic between Cassie and her parents? What do they think about her pursuing treasure, getting into the family business, carrying on the Drake tradition, right? Imagine just the dialogue and the growth and the emotional pieces that we can have of them, telling her, please don't do this, and her wanting to do it, wanting to be her own person, wanting to make a name for herself. Let us get a Cutter story, please. Naughty Dog, give us a Cutter story, because you've left him out to dry since Uncharted 3. Just give us one, let us into his world. Let us know what he's been doing these past few years since Uncharted has happened. Ever since he broke his fucking leg, Cutter's been MIA. He hasn't gotten a shine. He needs more shine. A lot of fans were upset that he was only mentioned once in Uncharted 4. Well, I mean, we were also upset at the fact that Chloe wasn't in it at all. But, having a Cutter story could also be very cool. What's he been up to? What has he been doing? What crazy hijinks have ensued since he broke his leg? But above all, it doesn't matter who stars in the Uncharted game, as long as it's still an emotional story that resonates with players. The reason why the story of Uncharted, the reason why the story of Nathan Drake is so memorable and so beloved among fans, is because it was so emotional, it was so open to players. You know, we saw Nathan get hurt, we saw him get scared, we saw him get heartbroken. And it's important to keep that throughout all the characters in the Uncharted universe. The Lost Legacy did a great job at doing that by showcasing that with Chloe. You know, we never knew that Chloe had these dad issues where her dad basically abandoned her and her mom because he was obsessed with finding the Tusk of Ganesh. So it was interesting to see what dynamic and what role that played in her story throughout the course of the Lost Legacy. You know, it really opened her up more and made her more humane and made her more relatable to players. You know, it really added that emotional nuance that Chloe never had before. It really showed a whole new layer to her. And I feel that with the Uncharted games moving forward, that can be the case for every character that it stars in. Aside from its characters, the Uncharted universe is still filled with great stories to tell. There's still a bunch of lost treasure and lost cities that we don't know about. There's still interesting stories to be told, you know, interesting lore to be explored. How many people really knew about the Tusk of Ganesh? Just imagine the possibilities that there can be when it comes to the stories of, you know, lost treasures, you know, the adventures that can be told through this universe filled with, you know, high stakes, with heartfelt moments. Now, great stories and great characters are awesome, but let's get down to brass tacks here. It wouldn't matter if the game wasn't fun. But luckily, the games have always been fun and always had that cinematic flair that no other game has come close to. And with each new entry to the franchise, Naughty Dog has really upped the level and upped the quality of their set pieces. You know, each entry brings something new, brings something cool to the table. You know, Uncharted 2, we had that train sequence, but we also had the one where we're being on the rooftop, we're being chased by a helicopter, you know. Uncharted 3, we were on a plane fighting for our lives, we were hanging outside of a plane. But then Chapter 21, my favorite part of the game was we were on horseback and we were jumping from horse to horse onto the running caravans, you know, trying to get to Sully. These great moments don't really happen often in action-adventure games, but Naughty Dog continues to push the envelope, continues to give players new experiences that will only happen in a movie, but gives them full reins and full control to let them really experience it for themselves, you know, makes them feel like they're actually there. I forgot to mention the Uncharted 4 Madagascar scene where you're jumping from car to car onto the caravans, fighting enemies on the caravan, you're like hanging on to the rope for dear life, you know, then you jump on Sam's motorcycle. Like, the entire scene is iconic. And the Lost Legacy also had those moments as well, you know. Granted, with less time, they weren't able to really, you know, reinvent the wheel like they have in prior games, but it was still awesome. Like, there was still like a train scene that was very reminiscent of Uncharted 2. It had a run sequence that was very reminiscent of Uncharted 2 again, but it did it with its own flair, you know, its own style. And every other game from here on forth can really carry on the mantle and really bring new set pieces and new experiences to players that they haven't had before in an Uncharted game. Naughty Dog has always brought a cinematic flair that's never been rivaled by any other game. When you're playing an Uncharted game, it feels like you're playing a movie, it feels like you're playing a summer blockbuster, but it has heart to it, it has meaning, it has characters that you care about. A big reason why I love the Uncharted franchise is because when I'm playing it, I forget that I'm playing a game. It feels more like I'm on a journey with these characters that it makes me feel like I'm actually there. My biggest praise for The Lost Legacy is that it proved it can do all these things Uncharted is known for without Nathan Drake. By the time the credits rolled, I didn't think, man, this game would have been way better with Nathan Drake. I actually thought it was better because of his absence. It was refreshing to see someone else's point of view, you know, to see someone else's inner struggles, to see them grow as a person. Because at the end of the day, that's what Uncharted's all about. It's about growth. And this really proved that Uncharted can succeed without Nathan Drake. If Naughty Dog decides to make another Uncharted game, as long as they keep the fundamentals of Uncharted, the game will be fine. As long as it has heart, it has soul, it has great writing, great character moments, the series will be fine. Because The Lost Legacy proves that Uncharted can succeed and will succeed without Nathan Drake. It's in a world filled with adventures and stories to tell. Although I'm sad Nathan's story is done, I know he's out there raising Cassie, chilling with Elena. I know he's going to be just fine. But I know that he wants these other characters to continue on his franchise, his mantle, to really show what Uncharted can be without him. And this series can be all the better for his absence, because Nathan has had his time, but it's now time to let other characters shine. And I truly believe that this series can continue on without him.